So we promised that we were going to talk absolute because there's a whole boatload of news that has, well, I shouldn't even use the word news. I should use the word rumor and innuendo, and a little bit more than that, because at least as far as Absolute Batman is concerned, we have definitely seen what Absolute Batman looks like. This ain't no fake. It's definitely Nick Dragotta art.
Yep.
And I think that's a good place to start with the absolute of it all. Now, again, we don't know that anything other than what we're about to discuss regarding Absolute Batman is factual. Everything else is conjecture when we talk about creative teams and things like that. But we are going to have the conversation because we want to be a part of the conversation. We're interviewing Rom V this week, so we won't get to do that on the main show. So the Tyler has it up right now on the screen. This is courtesy of Bleeding Cool, who have really led the charge as far as all these rumors are concerned. And this, if we're correct, is Nick Dragotta and Scott Snyder, their version of Batman, and this is what we are going to be getting. It's uncolored. And I'm just going to quickly try to sort of describe this. It's Batman more visually referencing, in my eyes, The Dark Knight Returns. He's kind of bulky. He's got a big frame,
Hmm.
thick, thick legs. Look at my man's legs. Look
Tree
at,
trunks.
yeah, the thighs are dying. Big, broad shoulders. And then there's this, the logo is, I don't really understand it. It's kind of bulky and blocky. It doesn't have, it's not a bat. It's not a bat. I'm not sure what it's supposed to represent.
Well, it looks to me like the Dark Knight Returns bat, but way blockier and way
Yeah.
more abstract. So it's got the same bat shaped bumps on top, on the top, across the top and bottom, but it's, you really have to like look at it and figure it out.
MP with the $5 super chat. What's up, MP? Good to see you. Absolute DC won't be for everyone, and that's okay. Hopefully, it brings in new long-term readers and fans who will own this as their version of DC. Agreed.
And hey, look, to follow it up, Cole says Dragotta was an unexpected but perfect choice. Looks great.
So for this, a couple things jump out to me. Dragotta is an interesting choice for an artist on this. I could care less about Scott Snyder doing more Batman. That is a kind of a boring choice, in my opinion.
Yeah,
It's
I
what
agree.
he's known for. He's done it. He did it well. It was very good. Was it Endgame, the last arc of Batman? That's one of my favorite Batman runs. But it's been there, done that. I'm not really interested in Snyder on it. But Dragotta is very visually different. What was the most recent Dragotta miniseries at Image that was very Evangelion anime manga inspired? I'm trying to remember the name of it.
So Dragotta's famous for East of West.
Yeah,
He also did Ghost Cage.
Ghost Cage, that's what I'm thinking
That's
of.
probably what
Yeah,
year. Yeah.
yeah. Which was black and white as well. It was very
Hmm.
stylized. I'm assuming this ash can is just black and white because it's an ash can. Probably just hasn't gotten there.
Yes, and if I could just quickly jump in the chat, Silhouette says, I posted the colored version on the DC channel on Discord if y'all want to see it, and I checked and he did.
Oh,
So if you guys want to check it out, it's in the DC Spoilers channel and it's actually on a t-shirt. So Silhouette, do you know if this is official? Because it looks right. Like those colors, who colors it's FCO Placencia, right? That colors Greg Capullo, because
Capullo.
this looks like Placencia colors.
yeah.
I had that same thought. Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks
Yes.
like
I'll put it
whoever
on the screen.
colors Capullo.
And I
It
think
looks,
that, yeah, go ahead, Kill.
please, it looks just like any Batman from the Court of Owls or
Yep.
City of Owls, or their run. Period.
Yep. It looks like that same Batman, and I think the colored version actually looks well to me, from my sensibilities, it looks a lot better. You can more clearly make out the pointy ears, which I love. These are like very pointy. And it's kind of weird to see him like that given the general like bulky nature of his body, but I like that.
It's very Kelly Jones Batman.
Sure. And then there are these weird spikes on the shoulder pads, on the chest that you can see. I'm not sure why Batman would have spikes on his body. I don't know like what he's gonna do with those, but
So what I like about the cape has literal bat fingers on it, like an actual bat would.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming once he is fully spread eagle or bat, um, it's gonna have a very interesting silhouette to it.
yeah.
Where
And
it's gonna,
Tyler just put up
yeah.
the colored image here. Take a look at the colored version because I was a lot more down on this black and white.
Actually, I kind of think I like the black and white better.
I'm not surprised.
What the hell does that mean?
I don't know.
I am I reading into it being on a green shirt too much?
You would have to say what you're reading into it.
In so much that like is that the kind of motif we're going for? Is it going to be a dark green bat?
Green? Is that the motif? Green?
Is this green? No, like are they going to be like is that cape actually green as well? Because it's essentially the same color as the shirt, or is that just the way it's colored?
I don't know, dude. I don't see green in the.
I think that's the way it's colored. I think it's the
Yeah.
lighting.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
The logo
Yeah.
is very interesting too. It's the same idea as what's on Bruce's chest, Batman's chest, right?
Yeah.
Which is this like big, bulky, you could probably make a bat out of this if you fixed it, like if you use these parts to
Yeah.
make a bat, but it's like stretched out. And then they take that same idea and that makes the logo and they fit absolute Batman in there. And then the Batman name, the name Batman is all like it's all caps, but some of the letters are bigger than others.
Yeah.
Which is also interesting. We've seen that done before. I think they did that. Maybe they did that during the Capullo Snyder run. I've seen this before. I just can't remember exactly where I've seen this idea. I don't care for this. Like I think absolute Batman and the lettering is fine. I just don't think it needs that ridiculous symbol around it.
Let me get that first image again. Where is that?
I got
I
you, Cale.
think because to me that looks better. That looks better on the black and white than it does on that colored shirt.
The logo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting a bit of a Saul Bass kind of look with the way the text in Batman is like big, small, big, small. It's kind of jumbled and scattered.
Yeah. It looks for some reason I'm getting a lot more yeah. Tyler's got it back on the
Okay, I just sent it through in our chat.
Oh, cool. Yeah, thank you. It looks very obviously stylized, but it's got a feel of like what if Daredevil's is very specific. If Daredevil's dad had a comic, it would be like because he's a boxer, he goes around and he gets beat up all the time, and he doesn't have like a consistent size of his letters, and he doesn't always do uppercase or lowercase, and it all just because his hands don't quite work right all the time because he's getting the crap kicked out of him all the time.
Marowak Oscuro, yes, I agree. It reminds me of White Knight. Absolutely.
You see
This
that, yeah.
definitely reminds me of White Knight. Yeah. Aaron Ruiz, I don't like the square, like it's trying to be a bat, but it also doesn't want to change shape. Weird for me. Yeah.
Dan says the head looks like Tim Sale, Bernie Wrightson from the Cult. I can see that.
Yo, I love the Colt. And yes.
Yeah. Bernie Wrightson is certainly a Cult.
Now Bleeding Cool actually has put out even more than just this because on Tuesday, they published what appear to be pages from the Ashcan. I don't know if you guys have seen this.
No.
I'll send them through now.
Oh, please.
Yeah. So these pages are fucking awesome. They look great.
Whoa.
It's it's Dragotta doing doing Batman. And if you look at the second page, you can see the functionality of Batman's wings. And this is the biggest change of anything we've seen so far from Absolute, because he clearly uses these as range. He uses them to, it's almost like Spawn with his chains, or Venom when he needs to get at you, like Scorpion, get over here. Like he uses it like that.
It,
Go ahead.
it reminds me of that short-lived NBC show, The Cape.
Wow, I don't remember that.
Jesus,
That was
another deep cut.
You don't remember that? Oh, the show is great. The guy's whole age is a circus performer. Whole thing was he found a magic cape, and the cape literally, like, it was his weapon. He would like throw it. It would wrap around people. It was dope as hell. I'm surprised you don't know about that, Tyler.
I do know about it. I just thought it was a deep cut. Yeah.
He uses the wings to disarm one guy who has it almost looks like that could be Black Mask or a member of Black Mask's gang. You can look at all the different villains. They all have a skull head. So either they're Black Mask goons or they're fucking Director Bones goons.
Well, I was thinking Lord Deathman from
Lord
the
Deathman.
manga.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay. That could be too. That could be too. So I really love that page. It looks super cool. And then the third page is more of that goodness. Batman jumps up into the air, and again, he doesn't have a cape. It's the cape. What we would consider to be the cape is almost like his extension of his arms now. So when he jumps up, it's below him, which looks super cool. And then when he does that split kick, oh man, look at that. Look at those big ass feet. Look at those steppers.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Monster feet.
Yeah. Chat, where are we at with this? You guys like this?
I think Dragotta is what is getting me interested in this book.
Yeah. Yeah. The Snyder of it all is just like, well, just give me Dragotta on a Batman book.
Let me read a little bit of what Rich Johnson has to say about this version of Batman. So I'm going to read straight from his article. Thanks to Rich, as always, for the incredible work. Rich says, the new Absolute Batman is a very different Batman. Still Bruce Wayne, but a very different Bruce Wayne with a different life. As a comic book, it has a very different look. And I have your first look inside the pages of the Ashcan, coming to comic book retailers exhibiting at San Diego Comic-Con. Now, let me just pause right there. What's interesting about that, to me, is that the Ashcan, if we've seen the cover, which is the Absolute Batman, if that's the cover of the Ashcan, and these are the pages of the Ashcan, and we've seen 3 pages so far. Ashcans typically are what, like 6 to 8 pages, maybe?
I was going to say
around there, yeah.
So that means that at least these 3 pages are dedicated to Absolute Batman. Is this an absolute Ashcan that's going to show off the range of the universe, or is it going to be focused on just Batman? That's my sort of thought.
Could also be a double-sided Ashcan too, where the other end is all in. If they, you flip it, they meet in the middle.
Continuing with Rich's thoughts, he says, with a suit of zips, batons, hooks, and cape, which become a hand-to-hand weapon from panel to panel, even working as prosthetic limbs, and a massive Batman with spikes and stitches from the ground up. This is Batman as an underdog, Batman as a warrior. That is Absolute Batman, the new ongoing series by Snyder and Dragotta. But it's also a reflection of the Absolute Universe continuity as a whole, where Superman, Wonder Woman, and the rest are underdogs fighting for their survival as well as everything else, because the world they live in is a different one and far closer to now. How would the world now react to a new Batman? A Superman, a Wonder Woman? Would they be as welcoming? Would their fan base be toxic? What would people even believe? So yeah, that's the idea.
Sounds a lot like we were talking about for Ultimates.
Yep.
And why we like it.
Wow. It feels like both companies are doing a very, very similar thing. especially if Absolute DC is spinning out of Absolute Power the same way that the new Ultimate Universe spun out of Ultimate Invasion.
Yeah, I think absolute power feels a lot more uh event worthy. You know, this is a thing that happens. This is the catalyst for it. These are the consequences. Whereas Ultimate Invasion was a lot more meandery. You know, the maker walked into a new place and here we are in the new place.
Yeah, I agree. It really depends on um what kind of lead in we're getting.
Yeah.
Rich also suggests that we're going to be getting a DC all in #1 in October, and that Absolute Batman #1 will come out in October. No word on the release of the rest of the books, but it sounds like they might sort of trickle them out, which makes enough sense to me, I guess.
Get some conversation around them.
Yeah. Let's see if we can get some of the gossip about the actual creative teams. I've seen it. I just don't have an article with it in front of me. Here we go. Okay. So, rumored by Rich, this article is from 3 days ago. This is from Monday. Um, that we'd be getting Absolute Superman by Jason Aaron and Absolute Wonder Woman by Kelly Thompson. We've also heard that Dennis Camp is involved,
Okay.
which is shocking, right? He's
Yeah.
going to be working for both. And according to Rich, he's the only one that's doing both. We've
Wow.
got Che Grayson, who's a filmmaker who did Dark Spaces, some Bitch Planet stuff, and Batman Urban Legends. Dark Spaces is one of Snyder's projects. And so that's the connection. That's how he got involved. Um, Jeff Lemire is involved. I have seen that he's writing The Flash.
Yeah, there's another
Everybody
follow-up.
thinks you're right. A Flash.
Yeah. Janoy Lindsay is a comic book artist who worked on Superboy, Man of Tomorrow, She-Hulk, Luke Cage, Angel, so a bunch of stuff. Pornsak Pichashot, who is phenomenal. An editor and a writer, editor for Sweet Tooth, Losers, Testament, writer for The Infidel, which I love, Good Asian, bunch of stuff. Nick Robles is involved. Rafa Sandoval is involved, which is awesome. And then Hayden Sherman, who again is another one that has worked quite a bit with Scott Snyder, worked on some of the Dark Spaces stuff. And so yeah, those are the names that we have for now.
I saw Wes Craig's name on there as well.
Wes Craig, yes, Wes
Yeah.
Craig. Absolutely.
That's
I
right.
was
Yeah.
most excited for Wes.
Yeah.
Wes's involvement.
And
Well,
Al
Zach
Ewing.
Pashotti's a real interesting pull.
Yeah.
Wasn't Al Ewing on the list? Did you say Al Ewing? Or
I think I did, yeah. Al Ewing is involved, yeah.
outside
Where do you
of
think? Yeah. go
outside
ahead.
of Snyder and Aaron, which kind of just feels like been there, done that. The names listed out without tying them to each other or a title, interesting. Like a lot of names that really have not had their chance to like put a mark on like a big two.
Fresh.
And in terms of the art style, it's very non-traditional DC art, which I think is very interesting. Like Wes Craig, I love Wes Craig. That is not who I think of when I think of DC Comics.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by Wes's involvement. And I think that when you look at Nick Dragotta and what Nick is doing, just from the pages we've seen, and you look at Deadly Class or you look at Kaya, those two art styles don't look like they belong in the same universe. And I love that. I got no problem with that at all.
It almost feels like an early Image art style for DC, which in and of itself was kind of playing on modern Marvel at the time. it feels like in a roundabout way the Marvelization of DC.
Hmm.
Hmm. Owen Harrison wants to know, would you say that the absolute DC team is stronger than the new Ultimate Universe?
It's bigger.
Yeah, it
That's
seems to be
first.
having more of a publisher uh, backing to it.
I meant in terms of size. There are more creators involved.
Oh, sure, sure.
It's more creators. So that there's that. Or is it a better roster? I mean, it's again because there's more of them. It's almost unfair to judge. I mean, I kind of have to say yes off that. You know,
I don't know. I mean, we know about Al Ewing, we know about Kelly Thompson, we know about Dennis Camp, we know about
what
Jeff
Wes?
Lemire, we know about Wes Craig. I mean, like size aside, like those are already five bangers.
Heavy hitters.
Yeah. Al Ewing alone on a DC book would have us popping off on the main show. Like now you've got our wish list basically of Kelly Thompson and now Dennis Camp is our favorite writer on the Ultimates. Like,
The the negative space is also what I'm looking at too, and so much that like who is not on here, like Ramvi, not in this rumored thing, which makes me think, all right,
not
he's gonna get possibly some real good stuff for All In, like the whole like
mm,
our normal DC universe could had some really interesting names attached that maybe
yeah,
aren't on here. Like Mark Wade kind of spearheading that kind of seems like the direction it's going, which I
yeah,
don't hate.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with the fact like I was expecting PKJ to be on this list.
yeah,
I thought he would be involved, but mainline DC needs to hit heavy too. And the fact that we can name off all these people from Absolute DC, not have said Rom, not have said PKJ, and certain others, and that there's a whole other side to what DC is trying to do in October with All In that will presumably include some of these names and then the other names like PKJ and Rom, it seems as though DC is going to be set up to have the best roster of creatives in comics.
I'd argue they're even focusing on creatives, where Marvel is focusing on characters.
well, Dan says DC seems to be investing in talent in a way
Hmm.
Marvel isn't. I hope it results in sales. DC seems to have a ceiling they can't get past, even when the book's quality is up.
I can name you a ton of Marvel books right now. Could I name you who's on the books? Probably not.
I'm sure you could.
I'm sure if I gun to my head, sure.
I mean, it's only four people.
Jed McKay. There, I'm done.
Yeah.
Aaron Ruiz, Kelly Thompson is in her A game right now. DC did a good job on getting her to solidify this universe. They gave her what she probably wants, which is Wonder Woman. Can't get that in mainline because Tom King is stinking up the joint. I mean, writing Wonder Woman. And so, this is the best. This is the next best thing. What are you going to do? Give her a black label title? That means nothing right now.
Yeah.
This is where the heat is at.
And,
Yeah.
and if you want Wonder Woman, getting Wonder Woman where she has no origin yet, great. Start from the clay up to do
Well,
that.
and it would be incredible to get a writer of her caliber to modernize Wonder Woman's origin.
Totally. Silhouette says Dennis Camp on Green Lantern and Ewing on Justice League, please. So I definitely like the idea of Dennis Camp on Green Lantern. That sounds hot. I think I would have preferred his name on Batman, um, just because we've seen a lot of
Yeah.
Snyder. But the Justice League aspect is compelling because I'm wondering if like that's so dependent on what the universe looks like because the universe might not have a league to start.
Yeah.
My gut says Al Ewing on Absolute Legion.
I say let Al cook on the mainline Legion.
I mean, yeah, that's true too. Yeah. Oh man, Dennis Camp on a Green Lantern though, dealing with the idea of a space cop sounds very interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but Al Ewing on a Lantern book, I think would be
Oh my God.
equally as I think that's always been my thing is I want Ewing on Lantern. It's for the cosmic stuff.
To go back a little bit, Jeff Lemire possibly doing Flash. Does that interest you at all?
Yeah.
I don't I don't know how interested I am in Lemire in 2024, this the year of our Lord.
In my circles, that's the discussion I've been having. Like, I think Jeff Lemire does amazing work on Black Hammer, but it's so outside of everything, you have to kind of just know it. There's no real
Well,
buzz around it anymore.
it's also all very uh big two inspired.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this, in any way that that the stories are bad. I collect them. I like them a lot. The emotional beats and the twists and everything that he does, he pulls it off very, very, very well. But, you know, superhero stuff from Lemire, who, and I think I said this in the Discord at one point, I think at a certain point, it seemed like he was going to be the guy at DC, sort of post John's uh heyday. I just don't know how much superhero stuff I want to see from Lemire.
Lemire's best big two work was Green Arrow, Animal Man. I didn't really care much for his other stuff or his X-Men stuff either.
That is to say, if he's got stories to tell, all right. If he's inspired for it, let's go.
Garrick the Taylor says absolute unit. Hey Garrick, thanks. I haven't seen your name in the chat before. Batman is an absolute unit. You got that right. Have you seen the colored version? I really want to know what people think about the colored version because I feel like everybody has already seen the black and white one.
Uh,
And I know that my opinion definitely changed between the two versions. So definitely make sure to check that out. Make sure that the 50 of you that are here have liked the video and are subscribers to our channel. Hit notifications if you want to know when we go live. Don't want you guys to miss out on anything. Triple Hole says Al Ewing on Green Lantern. Yeah, I mean, Cale said it. It sounds great. I'd love to see it. Dan seems to agree.
Triple Ho.
Hell
I
yeah.
love these names people come up with. Great stuff.
ho, ho,
Tom,
ho
go ahead.
on Santa Claus. Give us Al Ewing on Green Lantern.
There we go. I get it now.
I don't think that's what it is.
Atomic Hound says, made it back to catch this. I'm thinking the all-in era sounds very intriguing. So,
That's the thing. We don't even know about the All In era.
well, that's what I was gonna just say. So, for those of you who don't know about All In is DC's new initiative that is following up on Dawn of DC, where they are essentially making the promise that they're putting their best foot forward. They are all in on this new era of DC. They're rotating out a lot of the creative teams that are currently on titles. We know that Rom V is leaving Detective. We know that Teenie Howard is leaving Catwoman and Harley Quinn. And there are others that I can't think of right now. So they're shuffling the deck, and we are in for, between this and Absolute, I think we are in for a really, really interesting time. Columbo says the leaks for Absolute Wonder Woman sound so hyped. Dude, what do you know? Share the knowledge.
Mm.
I want to know.
Slap us a link. We got to talk about it.
Yeah.
Amin says Ewing on Absolute Aquaman. Put some respect on his name, bro. Doesn't even have a mainline title.
Hell no.
No thanks.
Come on, Amin.
I'm reading the CBR article about this, and it's funny. Like, a lot of the writers have all been nominated for Best Writer Eisner at one point.
Sure. Sure.
So this is,
and if DC smart, they'll be hiring more of those.
yeah.
Triple Ho wants to know, what book would you put Wes on?
That's a big question, and I have an answer.
Tremendous. Is it a big answer?
Teen Titans.
Oh, okay. I don't know who would write that, but I like that.
He can write it.
That's true.
He
I forget.
Kaya.
Yeah, he could do both. Honestly, yeah. Ooh, I like that a lot.
I'm here for that.
Yeah. His little Robin with the beady eyes.
Yep. I want it.
Oh, even better if it's sort of the cartoon, inspired,
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
that, you know, no extra uh paraphernalia, no Kid Flash, no Aqualad, but your Robin, your Raven, your Starfire, your Cyborg, your Beast Boy, they're off in the tower doing their thing, and it's very stylized. It's very yeah, I think that would be good.
Blaze Man says there's a rumor Batman is working class. Yeah, I've seen that, and Rich on Twitter has essentially confirmed that. If I remember correctly, it's hard to know how to react to that because the concept of a Batman who isn't rich but can still be Batman is something that feels like a that doesn't feel like Batman. Like it feels like
Yeah.
part and parcel of Batman is being rich. So if he's not rich, then how can he afford all his wonderful toys? So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that aspect of it. But as a general concept, the idea of Batman as a warrior of the oppressed who is among the oppressed is very compelling. Of course.
I don't think I've read that story, to be honest. Like, as many of DC's Black Label books there are, I don't remember reading anything like that.
And it's Batman beating up people who are richer than him potentially.
Punching up.
He never beats anybody's ass who has less bread than he does or who has more bread than he does. Nobody.
He does punch down a lot, doesn't he?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's
How
true.
can he not? He's a
It's
freaking
true. You're
billionaire.
at the top.
Yep. There's nowhere else to go but down. Columbo says just that Wonder Woman will be an archaeologist and adventurer. Think Laura Croft.
Cool.
Huh.
See, the idea of Kelly Thompson writing Laura Croft sounds like a comic that I desperately want to read. But to me, Wonder Woman is not like that. Not in terms of personality. I know that Wonder Woman won't have her personality. But the idea that she's an archaeologist and an adventurer is cool, but Wonder Woman is a princess and she is an ambassador and she is a representative and she's a warrior. So if she's not those things, then I'm very interested to see what she is that gives her the same regality and status. Or maybe they don't care for that.
Those two things are dramatic shifts in those characters. What could you do with Superman?
Well, I'll answer that. Blazeman says another rumor says that it's a Superman that's more alien than human.
Uh,
Well,
What does that mean?
yeah.
That's
Physically?
like I haven't really wrestled with that rumor in my mind at all so far because I have no way to wrap my head around that. Like, does that mean physically he looks more alien? Does that mean he has a more alien mind and thought process? If so, how does he become Superman? Do the Kents rehab his mentality? Does he snap if they die? Like, what does it mean to be more alien? You know?
Yeah, it's called Martian Manhunter.
Right.
well, they're essentially the same character,
Yeah.
so lean into it. To me, physically makes sense because that's the only thing left that would separate Superman from humanity. Right? If you look at Superman, you don't know his origin. Whoa, that's a dude that can fly. That's crazy. And then you find out he's an alien. Oh, well, he looks like me. That's okay. So you're kind of adding the mutant situation to Superman. Make Superman beast.
Or does his personality reflect that of a Krypton that is vastly different than what we have seen? Because what I have always seen and come to know from Krypton is that largely they're like humans in terms of their personalities and their approach to life and stuff like that. What if this version of Krypton isn't like that? What if this version of Krypton has people on it who don't resemble humans at all in terms of the way they behave? What if they're conquerors? What if they're cold, calculating, whatever's like, what if?
Superman as the Viltrumite, in a way.
Eh. I feel oof, jeez. I feel like that we've seen.
Yeah, Injustice.
I don't even know that that's Injustice because Injustice has an inciting incident. I'm talking about going all the way back, and they are this way. This is just who they are. Triple H says, I think Absolute Batman will be African American. In the colored version, they seem to be hiding the skin tone. Man, listen, you mean to tell me that DC is gonna go full out and give me something I can actually cosplay as?
I thought you were gonna say if you think DC's gonna hide that and
Huh.
not try to market that.
Hey,
That's a great point.
no, dude, when they had Future State and they had I forget which Fox in the costume, his face was
Yeah.
covered.
Yeah. Yep.
We went the extra mile and we put Tim's on that motherfucker
Tim's on.
because he
Yeah,
was the
that's right.
Batman of the hood. That's the Batman of the Bronx.
I hope he's doing okay.
Listen, it sounds like we might be finding out. Amin says Flashpoint Beyond played on that. Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Judah Jones says, "Please God, no! I'm tired of evil soups."
I wouldn't say he has to be evil by any means. I don't think that that would be the way they would go, and I certainly wasn't implying that. I think him being different than the version of Superman that we know doesn't mean he has to be bad. It just means that maybe
He has to learn to be good.
exactly. And I
Man
think
of
there's a
Steel.
story there. It wouldn't be turning him bad. It could be rehabbing him.
Hmm.
Uncanny says I was gonna say it might be that change to Superman just to see how it's different. Owen says it will be fun to see the future debates about what you like or don't like about these two universes. Fans ask for something different, and this will be different. Dude, that is such a great point.
Yeah.
And please continue to get your questions in. We're going to get into the stack here shortly, but I love the engagement and excitement on your guys' end. So, Marvel and DC, I think, Marvel far more, have felt a little bit dry,
Yeah.
a little stagnant.
Stale.
Yeah, DC had something cooking with Dawn of DC, but I think maybe that, like the hype petered out. Night Terrors, anybody? And so I think both companies are trying. They're in that Marvel 2000s, early 2000s phase of being like, we have to freshen things up. We have to do something unique. And that's what spawned the original Ultimate Universe. And I think time is a flat circle. And 20 years later, now DC is looking at themselves and saying, oh, we need to freshen things up, just like Marvel is.
And I also think this is future proofing their non comics treatment of these characters too. Because eventually the movies are going to need to be freshened up as well. And if they have source material they can take from in the same way that is wildly different than what people are used to seeing on screens anywhere, they can.
Interesting. I wonder your future proofing just put this thought in my head, and I have nothing to answer the question, but I wonder how this would sort of affect the upcoming trademarks and what do you call it? Mickey Mouse
The
is
The
one now.
rights, yeah.
The public domain stuff.
Public domain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonder how that flows.
That's a good point. Yeah.
The answer is that whatever they create now is locked in for
Yeah.
whatever the statute of limitations is or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's probably some truth to that. Columbo says maybe Absolute Superman would be like a Star Trek thing where Clark is from Krypton but gets stranded on Earth. Oh, so he doesn't come here as a baby. I'm compelled by that, actually. I think that even though that is part and parcel of who Superman is, that he encounters Earth as a child, as a baby, um, I think that changing that and forcing him to see the value in humanity when he's already an adult is a very interesting story.
And again, if you take away the the money from Bruce, like those are two essential ingredients in those two heroes' origins that are just sort of they're pivotal, but they're not always quite as talked about.
Right.
Because they're so baked into who those characters are. You don't really
Yeah.
think about
Yeah.
it. But yeah.
Seven says, reminds me of how the Batman is seemingly similar to Earth One, in reference to the Batman film and the Earth One comic. Yeah, I mean, I think the Batman film certainly pulled from a lot of sources, but I could certainly see Earth One as one of those. Yeah. Blazeman says, all I know is I'm now praying Wes Craig is on Teen Titans. Hey, me too. You heard it here
Yeah.
first.
Uncanny Suit. Marco obviously is in here because of his involvement in the Absolute Swamp Thing announcement. Congratulations, Marco. We're very proud of you. Don't forget us.
Cole says Wes Craig said in his newsletter before the leaks that his DC work is a one shot and he's staying on Kaya. He's probably drawing the all in #1.
Oh,
That's good context. I don't see why they would grab Wes to draw that, though.
that's specific.
He's too specific an artist to just do a one shot.
Especially an all-in one shot.
Sure, yeah.
Like that would need to be in a house style or like better, an iteration on a house style.
Yeah, that's Dan Mora.
That has Jorge Jimenez.
Yeah.
Like
It's
Dan Mora. You're
it's a
absolutely right.
worker at DC. Like it's someone that works at DC Comics, so you can say, hey, if you really love Dan Mora or whomever, their work can be found in X place. This is a representation of what our universe is. And it's very bizarre to get a guy who I can't recall if Wes has done DC work prior, and if he has, excuse me, but certainly isn't in their bullpen to do this type of book that doesn't strike true for me, but it could end up being that way. It could. Fresh News says Absolute Batman leak killed Absolute DC in an instant for me. I thought it would have been better if the core heroes moved to an Earth with no metahumans and they are looked at differently. So what you're suggesting is that the humans or the superheroes of our Earth, the one we follow, would move like to another Earth, and that would be Absolute DC, and then mainline DC wouldn't have heroes? Or what you mean, man?
I've heard that theory. I don't see the longevity there.
Yeah.
I don't hate it, but I don't see how it would keep going. Please.
I was gonna say I was gonna bring up a comment here. Amin said, "Question: Will this be another Earth in the multiverse, like Earth 42069, or is it better as its own thing, like the Watchmen?" I'm pretty sure, from what I've been reading, that it is an Earth that the other Earths can travel to.
It's in the multiverse.
Yeah.
Isn't Watchmen even in the multiverse
now,
somewhere?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe, yeah.
Which is yet again another reason why Doomsday Clock is in canon. Thanks, guys. I am excited for this. I think that these rumors are tantalizing, and there's a lot of meat on the bone. There is exactly one of these announcements so far that I'm not happy with. I'm sure you guys can guess for yourselves which one that is. Otherwise, I'm pleased with this, and I think that we're in for a ride in October. San Diego Comic-Con cannot come soon enough.
Yeah. Is that in October?
No, it's in 2 weeks, but presumably when when Absolute launches, it will be in October. That's all we've seen so far.
I seriously hope DC has some New York Comic Con presence this year.
They have to.
If this is happening in October, like they have to have a huge ass Absolute booth.
Even the timeline of that, is like
they'd be dumb not to. Yeah. Give me a booth back. That's what I want.
Yeah, absolutely. Uncanny, listen, dude. The crisis is coming. The absolute crisis is coming. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. That name is too fucking good for DC to pass up on using, and the marketing is all there. So I personally put the timeline at, I think last time we talked about this, we said 5 years.
I think 5 years. I was gonna say I'm feeling such deja vu. We've talked about this, right?
Yeah, for sure. You
Yeah,
and
I
I
think
did.
we said. I think we said 5 years.
Sean, has there been any news on format for these Absolute books? It's just going to be typical comic book format. Nothing,
As far
no
as we
breaking the
know,
mold.
yeah.
Okay.
Hmm. Are they going to present new movies? Asked Marowak Oscuro. No. I don't believe that San Diego Comic Con is the place where they're going to be doing anything like that, to my knowledge.
With the Absolute Batman shirt, though, there is a Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow shirt, so we might get some news on that. Maybe some character costume reveals, but I think that might be the only movie stuff we got.
Owen Harrison, and we're about to get in the stack right now. Oh, and Owen's comment disappeared, so I don't even know what the question was. All right,
It was it. Well, I can paraphrase it
go
anyway.
ahead.
DC's launching with this. What is Marvel gonna launch in response?
I think DC is launching not necessarily literally, but I would say this is in response to Ultimate Universe.
And I don't feel like Marvel cares to respond to this unless this really blows up. Marvel kind of just seems in the game of like, we're doing what we're doing, and we're fine with it.
I think Marvel has a lot more changes to make under the hood than they do in terms of the presentation of the books that they're presenting at the current exact moment. Like there's a lot of things that need to go on behind the scenes. Triple Ho, will you buy the absolute edition? Hell yeah, brother. You know it.
Do you guys own any Absolute editions?
Pretty sure
No.
I do. I own Absolute Sandman, and I think I own 1 and 2 of that. And Swamp Thing. Did I buy that? I might have bought Absolute Swamp Thing.
I don't
And
know.
that's
I
it.
don't have money.
Fair.
I had birthdays.
Yeah.
I've never had a birthday where anybody loved me enough to get me an absolute.
I'm sorry.
Hey, listen,
There's still time, Cale.
not for me.